Do you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share with us? Send us an email with your story for a chance of it being featured on Weird World. When someone's memory of the recent past is vastly different from our own, it can seem that the only explanation is that we are somehow experiencing alternate realities. Here are 3 puzzling accounts from Weird World viewers where, bizarrely, the perceptions of their close loved ones are totally at odds with their own. Reality shift. Ian Gath lives in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, and has taken his pets to the same vet for years. He started taking his pets to Dr. Best, not his real name, when his daughter was in high school, and she became friends with Dr. Best's twin daughters. His daughter and Dr. Best's twins did several school projects together, and Ian often drove her over to their home for her to spend time with the twin sisters. Often during his trips to Dr. Best's office, they would talk about how the 3 girls were doing and what they were up to. Ian's daughter is now in her 30s, and he relates that a couple of weeks ago he took the family's cat in for his annual checkup. During the appointment, he asked Dr. Best how his twin daughters were doing. The vet replied that they were both fine, and then asked Ian how he knew them. This seemed a bit odd, but Ian replied that it was through his daughter, who was friends with them at high school. Ian was surprised when Dr. Best looked at him as if he had sprouted horns and said, "Well, that's not possible, as my daughters were homeschooled." This took Ian aback, and so he asked, "Are your daughters named Janice and Jordan?" Again, not their real names. He replied yes, but that they had always been homeschooled. Needless to say, Ian became quite puzzled after this interaction, so he called his daughter and asked her if she remembered Janice and Jordan Best from high school. Her response was, "Who?" As a result of this bizarre discrepancy in not only the remembered events, but also the facts of the matter, Ian became extremely puzzled. He can think of no other explanation for this strange blip in his reality other than a shift in his universe. A world away. Amy, who lives in Cincinnati, Ohio, had this experience when she was 32 years old. She believes that she somehow coalesced into a parallel world. While no event occurred that seemed to instigate the experience, she reports that she woke up in a place like a different world, but with a close resemblance to her current world. Amy describes her background as originally from the city and with a sophisticated lifestyle. She has achieved her master's degree in engineering and believes herself to be very earnest and responsible in relation to her studies and career. She has only one older brother, and at the time she had this experience, she was by then married and still with no children. She is still quite unsure how she entered into this parallel universe, but when she found herself in this new world, it seemed that she already had a daughter and was expecting her second child. She had a husband, but he was very detached with her and just visited her on and off. She also had 4 brothers and, due to the intermittent contact with her husband, lived in the same house as her parents, along with her 4 brothers and their families. It seemed that her family had enough money and was doing well for the village environment they lived in. Amy's mother, in this alternate reality, exactly resembled her current mum. She came to Amy and asked her to get up and go and try doing some work. Amy found herself sitting staring at cows, which seemed like a weird thing to be doing. Amy says that she asked her mum, "What is my education level?" She looked at Amy like she was crazy and said, "You don't know about yourself, the worst woman who failed high school and is fit for nothing." All day sitting and eating and doing nothing, and then she left her alone. Amy says that she felt awkward about being this person. She notes that in that parallel universe, she was a slim and tall woman just as she is in this life. Amy went and sat with her mother and started to talk to her, in very neat, refined language, explaining that she had finished her master's in engineering. She started talking in technical scientific terms, perhaps to convince her. She says her mother was shocked at first, but eventually came to terms with listening to her. Amy told her that she is from another world where she is educated and responsible and where she has no kids as yet. Amy told her that she didn't know if she was stuck in this body and didn't know for how long, but told her that she is the same person who is Amy's mother in another world as well. She asked her mum to help her so that she, the current body in the new world, can go and get educated and become responsible. Her otherworld mother finally agreed to help her. In the evening, the mum asked Amy to go to a market with her. Amy went there, where they did some shopping. All of a sudden, her mother said, "It's going to be 6 p.m. soon, let's go. Hitler's army rules." Amy was stunned by this comment and asked her, did Hitler win the Second World War? To which her mother replied yes. Amy was dumbfounded and shocked and did not feel good about that piece of information. She followed her mother's instructions and went home. Then somehow it felt like she was, all of a sudden, back in her own body again and back in her this world home. Amy explains that in that parallel world life she experienced, she had 4 older brothers. In her current life, her mother had 3 terminations before having her brother and herself. She says that she can never forget her parallel world experience, which was so clear and real to her. It never happened. Abby, who lives in the Netherlands, explains that one day she, her sister and a friend were talking about memories from the past. When she described a vivid memory of an incident from their childhood, her sister and their friend looked at her uncomprehendingly and both asked if she could tell them the memory in its entirety. Abby then told them about the time she and her sister were on holiday in Austria with their parents. The family stayed in an old farmhouse, and in the hall of the farm there was a telephone. During the holiday, their friend called from the Netherlands to the farm and had talked to Abby's sister on the phone for a very long time. When the call finally ended, Abby's parents had joked to her sister that their friend's father wouldn't be very happy when he received the phone bill from the long conversation. Her sister had responded very honestly to this and said that their friend had called Austria from their parents' house. She says that her parents then became very angry about this and that the revelation had quite an impact on the atmosphere of that day. Abby's sister and their friend looked at each other in amazement and both had no memory of this incident at all. The whole event did not seem familiar to them at all. They all decided that Abby would verify the incident by asking her father. Her father listened attentively to the whole story and she asked if he remembered it. He just shook his head thoughtfully. Her vivid recollection of this incident was not at all familiar to him either. Still mystified, Abby asks the puzzled question, does she have a memory of another timeline?